Welcome everybody. This is the Thursday evening Viper trading webinar. If you're here to learn about trading the futures markets using the Viper tools, you're absolutely in the right place. Tonight's topic is quickly identifying chop and or trends. And of course, sort of the tail end of that topic would obviously be how to trade them. First, we've got to knock our standard disclaimer out of the way, so let's take care of that so we can get straight away over to some charts and trade setups. All communications from Viper Trading Systems are for educational purposes only. Futures and Forex trading does involve risk, and there is a risk of loss. Nothing contained in this webinar tonight, as well as any of the live trading rooms, are to be construed as investment or trading advice. And of course, everybody does know here that you do trade at your own sole discretion. Okay, good. All right, so let's come over here. I'm going to start with a 6E chart, and this is in real time. We're going to be looking at some real-time charts, and then we'll retrospectively go back and look at this morning with the equities. And if we get some time, maybe we can squeak a couple of quick object trader trades into the mix. For those of you who are new and or visiting, what you are looking at here is a 5-range chart of 6J. This is the Japanese yen futures. We are just opening up the front end of the Asian trading session, 5 o'clock Pacific. This is their morning over there. It runs through midnight, so we may or may not see some movement in 6J, but this is what we normally look at on Thursday nights. We'll look at lots of other charts too. I've got gold up here. We'll look at oil, look at all manner of charts. So just a quick refresher before we get into this whole notion of sideways markets and trending markets. Let's just take a quick look at 6J. What you're seeing on the chart here, of course, are the Viper scripts running on this chart. You've got the background colors. Obviously, you can see we've got bar colors. We've got one of the more prominent things, of course, is these bands. We have the mid band is the thick band in the middle. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 bands above it, 4 bands below it. We like to take trades. Most of you, of course, know at or near the mid band. So every time we, I'll talk about that in a second. We have these predictors. These are painted in real time. These show swing levels, both above and below the mid band here, depending on where support and resistance are. You can toggle those on and off right here. It's like that. Turn them on, turn them off. Depending on how you feel about looking at them at any given point in time. We have our power meter up here. These represent different swing level. Gary and I have been in working on producing a auto trader based on using the power meter flipping. Programmer's still working on that. Should be done probably early next week. We apologize for that dragging on longer than we expected. And we mostly like to, of course, for those of you that have been around a long time, you know this, but for you new folks, we are primarily what we call retracement traders in trends. So let's look at this situation where we have sideways price action and we have trending price action. And you can tell here there are cases where markets oscillate between consolidation and then trending type movement. Let me just take, for the simplicity of just looking at trends, I'm going to take that off just for a second. Like for instance here, you can see that even though you're in a trend, it's also possible to have sideways price action within a trend itself. For instance, let's look at some cases here. I think overall you could make the case on 6J that it has been trending up. Let's see, what's today? Today's the 16th? Yeah, 16th. Okay, so here's 16th. Let's go all the way back to, all the way over here. Boy, there's a lot of bars on 6J, isn't there? Where's the beginning of the 6J? All right, here we go. Okay, let's start right here and work our way backwards and forwards, just to get an overall sense of what we're talking about here. Here's midnight Pacific. I'm here in California, so I'm Pacific time. So midnight Pacific coming into today was right here. So the Asian session from last night would have been over here. Now, how do we feel about coming into midnight Pacific time? Let's look to the left of this time frame here. Were you in a trend, or was this chop right here? Trending. Put T. We'll do this little series of little pop quizzes, and we'll work together to look at some charts together. We'll kind of all get on the same page before we start looking at some real-time price movement, okay? So for the purpose of these questions, we'll type in T for trending, C for chop. So to the left of midnight, going into, this would have been the Asian session last night, trending T or C chop, right here. That's almost sort of a little part of a trick question too, by the way. Yeah, it was choppy. Now, you might make the case where you could say, well, you know, Charles, the background was green, and we were coming off this series of higher lows where you could, you know, there was some trades in here. Pushed up to a fresh swing, you pulled back, you held the mid-band, there was clearly a trade here, right? We take retracement trades at support and resistance. So yeah, I mean, some of you might be saying, well, the trend was up, background was green, stair-stepping up on the mid-band and all the bands. But from about here all the way over to here, yeah, you could definitely say that this was chop right here. Now, the topic was, and this is an operative word, and we don't have to do it, you know, we'll start to do these together. Now, the term quickly being able to determine chop, let's pretend that we were here last night and we were looking at this. What were some of the clues that started to occur in here? I'm circling with my cursor. What makes this area look different than this area over here? Just go ahead and share your thoughts with the team. What makes this area right in here, I'm circling with the cursor, look different than the area to the left over here where I have these arrows? What's different about this than this? Here again, this area here versus this area over here. What's different visually, just visually looking at it, what's different about it? Anybody? Okay, we're getting some feedback. Weldon, lots of yellow bars. Philip, we're not getting any more higher highs. Good. Chris putting in no more higher highs. It's range bound. Dennis, CG. Consolidation, flat, hanging around the midband, says Tom. Brent, movement is very lateral. Lower highs, can't take out the swing. John, Roger, Philip, and Mario. Good. Now and you hear this in the room a lot, right? So here is some clues that I know most or probably all of you look for, and what we look for in the room and when we're trading live with real money is we take a look at things like this. Here we can see that, you know, coming off these pushes, we had a trending, a thrusting move up, a retracement, bounce off the midband, we come up and we put the swing in right here. And you can see that for some period it sat here and just could not get through it. All right, so the buy programs were running out of steam. The market participants were just not taking this thing any higher than right here. They just weren't going to pay up for it, right? Now, is this the critical part of what we look for when we're trying to identify chop and a trend? It's the first part of it. Let's look at two more pieces that would tell us that in real time, pretending that we were in real time. Here, for instance, we pull back. I'm going to draw a little couple of lines here just to help you visually see what I'm talking about. Here was some swings that were established just under the midband to extend the support, the prior resistance level over into support. We know that old adage in trading where it says prior resistance should become support. A lot of times it does. And here we drift down, and here's what I'd like to make note of. I'm going to circle 3 or 4 spots, and this is what I look for in real time as it's happening. D, can you hear me? Testing audio. You might need to log out and log back in, D, if you're having audio trouble. Everybody else is saying they can hear me okay. All right, so just real quick, just let me circle a couple areas here. So we pull back, we get support just above the midband, and we get a little bounce. But what's important to note is this right here. What's happening with that right there? Sound much too low? D, you might have to just log out and come right back in, okay? Yeah, why don't you try that, and that should fix that problem for you. Yeah. Now notice here. Now, if this trend was going to continue, which is an upward trend, right? What should have happened here with this push right here? And I would submit to you this push right here, this bounce right over here, and even here and here. By the time you got over here, you couldn't even get past any of these swings right here. These are all lower highs. So one thing you can do, and it's really easy on your chart to do, is when you establish this swing, and now, you know, it looks like it sat up here for a good 20 minutes, so there's time to think about this. It's not like you have to be panicking. You just simply throw a line up here. And I think everybody in here tonight would agree that if we were going to get trend continuation, that any one of these swing pushes up off the bounces off the midband, and by the way, these were all good long trades, okay, even though you're range bound and you're in a range here, the trend is still kind of sideways to up. So each time you bounced on here off support, these are all long trades that gave you scalps. Long trade scalp, long trade scalp. There's 3 or 4 of them in here, right? Yeah. But any one of them should have, even this one that got close to it, should have come off of here and gone like this. If you had gotten this, which we didn't, this would be trend continuation, and the you know, we're speculating, but you know, it theoretically would keep going like this, and the uptrend continues. And we've seen that in some cases after consolidation, the uptrend continues. But that's not the case here. So how would we know in real time, and this is for those of you that trade in live room, and those of you who are watching this recording who trade overseas and don't have a chance to come in the room but use our tools. How in real time would we know that we are now in sideways chop? Let's go back and play this out. And this is important because we're going to go look at some more charts, and I want everybody to be on the same page so when we look at the next set of charts, we all know what we're looking at. Okay, let's pretend this is happening last night in real time. Okay, we're all looking at it together. And we see that it's trending up, it's pushing up higher, hitting that swing, hitting the swing, hitting the swing. Can't take it out. See it hitting it 2, 3, 4 times? See it hitting it over and over again? Now we're expecting what? A pullback, right? Everybody can see this. I'm going to advance it. We're expecting a pullback. We know what's going to happen, but let's suspend disbelief and pretend we don't know. Yeah, it spent a lot of time up there, Ed. And it pulls back and it comes down to here, right around just a couple of ticks within the midband there, and we get a bounce. Okay, we like that. Maybe we took that trade and scalped it. Now here, right here, what is that telling us right there? That right there. At this point in time. Okay, let me advance a little bit more. Okay, how about here? At what point in here do you know that you are now in a range and the trend is not continuing? At what point do you know that? Let me give you 3 choices. Here, A, here, B, or here C? At what point in we're pretending now that we're watching this happening in real time. Is it A, B, or C, or D? I'll give you a fourth chance to guess. We'll call this swing D. A, B, C, D. At what point of these three swings do we know that we are no longer continuing upward in an upward trend, and that in fact we are now consolidating and going sideways? Go ahead, type in a letter. I'll give you 10 seconds. Everybody should look at this chart and instantly know the answer to this question. A, B, C, or D. At what point do we know that the trend is not continuing up and we in fact are sideways in consolidation, or chop if you call it that? Hold on, sip of tea. Time's almost up. 4 more seconds. Get in your vote. Cast your vote. A, B, C, or D. All right. Time is up. All right, we got a lot of answers. John, Roger, Tom, David D, Mindy, Chris. Wow, a lot of answers. Okay, the predominant answer here, I'm not going to count them all, but there's a lot of C's. And David D even typed in the word C, failed higher high. Now, there are a couple of D's in here. Let's see who voted D. Mindy, we got a B for Chris. Another D for Dennis. And then Carl typed in an interesting answer here, kind of a spin on this. He says B was suspect and C, in his view, was confirmation. So let me share with you how I look at this on charts when it's really happening in real time. We know this swing is established. That's a done deal. Point A. So obviously the answer is not A, right? Because we need more points to confirm something. I would suggest that it wouldn't be B, simply because at the time that this B was setting up to coming down here to support, we don't have enough information other than the fact that we've come down close to the midband. We see support and resistances just below it right in here, but we need more information. In other words, it either has to break down lower to give us more information. We need more data. We need to try to come up to here. We need it to do something else. So B, we got to rule out B. There's just not enough information at B, point B, to know whether the trend is up or not continuing, or we're in consolidation, right? So let's go look at C. Okay, here we go up to C. Now, to put a fine point on it, I would say this, and this was sort of not a semi-trick question, and the reason I put D in there, but as it's happening in real time, it is the fact that you came up to establish a lower high, point C, is of critical importance, but it is the fact that it rolled over here just shy of the swing high. Yes? Is everybody following me on that? We come up, we establish that point, we see it, we know that we haven't broken that, so that's definitely not trend continuation. We can see that. But the important point is that it rolls over and does not go back up. So I would submit to you that it is shortly after point C. Not necessarily when we get all the way down to D. That's not the important point here. But once the fact that we could not get and take this out. That is, in my point, shortly after point C is the relevant point to establish the fact that we're sideways now. Does everybody see that? It's a subtle but important point. Because the fact of the matter is, it could hit this swing right here. We could get this collection of yellow bars, and at this point, it could do this. Yes? It could have actually done that. And we're pretending here again. We're in real time just sort of looking at it, but this is for instructional purposes. But then definitely, yeah, there's no question, but there's absolutely no question by the time we get down to D, yes, we are very, very range bound, because now we've come out, we've not gone back up here and we're now back at support trying to bounce again. So here we get another bounce. We all know how this plays out. We get A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way down. No question we're in range bound support. All right, so that in a nutshell is how you do it. Now, everybody knows here it's a lot easier to do it armchair quarterback when we're sitting here nice and comfy in our comfy chair, 5:30 on a Thursday night. It's a lot tougher when, the market's flying all over the place and you're trying to figure out what to do, right? Because, it's more challenging. Let's fast forward to now on 6J. Everybody on board with what I just showed, all right? So that's the essence and the basics of quickly being able to identify whether you're in a trend or not. Trends are a little bit easier, I'll give you that. You can see the swings, you can see the pullbacks, you can we kind of see where we want to get in. We see the higher highs and the higher lows. I always have a saying with Gary. Gary and I for years have said, everybody's a genius in a trend, right? You see where you buy in the uptrend, you sell in the downtrend, you sell retracements, and you buy support in the uptrend, right? Everybody's a genius in a trend. The real challenge comes in when you get into these choppy sideways, and they're not always as clean as this either, right? Sometimes they're real, depending on the instrument you're trading. Like crude oil and some other instruments. Gold is notable. I'll bring the gold chart down here. We'll look at this. Sometimes these swings aren't nice and clean. It's hard to say. It spikes way up, right? Pulls way down. Let's go ahead and advance this chart to where we're at right now on 6J. All right, 10-second question. Are we in a trend, T, yes, or C, chop? Right now, here's the bars. This bar is forming. This is real-time data on 6J right now. 10 seconds on the clock. Cast your vote. Are we trending T, yes, or C for chop? 6J right now based on what you know. Looking at this chart. 5 seconds left to cast. You just got to type in a letter. That's your vote. Type in one letter. It's either a T or a C. Really simple. Is it trending or not? Is it chopping? 2 seconds left. Cast your vote. Time coming up. Little bit of a trick question I'm throwing at you on that one, right? Everybody sees it, right? That's why we're getting a really mix of answers here. I see a lot of T's and a lot of C's coming in. All right, time's up. Okay, good. So we have, in all fairness to everybody here tonight, that was partially a trick, a little bit of a trick question in the fact that, yes, T and C. Chris, there you go. Yeah, we're in a downtrend. Everybody I know tonight can see that, right? Okay, we broke the support. Here was our thrust. Background turned to red. Mid-band and all the bands stair-stepping down. We get a lower swing high with a retracement. We get a bar rollover. Somehow you could have traded that. You'd be short. And I'm not going to do them all. You get the idea. So we're thrusting down. This is a downtrend. So the answer to part of the question was yes, we are trending and the trend is down. So we're looking for shorts. Now, a short bit ago here, when we opened the webinar session here, we got a bar rollover, and if we had Object Trader up, we could have quite possibly boxed it or did a bar close down right here, and you could make the case that yes, the trend is down, but we are stuck in a little bit of chop here. Now, after this rollover, we've come down and now we're breaking support. So in all fairness to you T voters, the trend voters, we are getting what right here? What is that happening in real time on 6J? As it breaks this and we head lower, what is this said to be doing that's happening right now? What do we call this? Breaking of support, even though it's just a couple of ticks. What is this called when this happens in a trend? I just said it over here. Remember? What is this called? The thrust part of the move, trend continuation. Good. Perfect. Right. So you can see it all over the place, right? Let's just look at a couple more in this chart and then I'll pull the gold chart down, okay? So it all is relative to the past swing level, right? Everything is relative to the last swing level. So let's walk forward. Here's a swing. Here's a swing. Is this swing higher than that swing? Yeah. What is that? Uptrend, right? How about this one? Higher low? Yeah, higher low. Let's just keep stepping forward. We'll just do a couple more real quick together. And I think everybody, this is a simple exercise you can do. You can do this on your own chart, any chart. Pull any chart up and train your eyes in this little exercise like that. Yeah, higher. How about this swing right here? Higher or lower than the past one? Higher. Right. Trend is up. Background turns green. Bars are blue. Stair stepping up. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay, now let me start asking this question. How about this swing right here? Higher or lower? How about this swing? And then these two. What's happening here? Do you see any similarities to what we looked at on that last area over here? Remember over here? The one over there? What's happening? What is starting to happen here? Right in here. Can't get back up through here, can it? Couldn't we when we start to see this, when we put a line up here? Right, the swing, right? Just like we did before. And where would the other line go? Yeah, down here, just like we drew before. It's almost exactly the same, isn't it? See it? Now, you're asking, yes, of course. I mean, these are legitimate retracement bounce long trades. You had a little poke up here if you caught it, bar close up. You had a nice bounce wick off the mid-band. Yeah, you got a scalper out of that one. Now, if you threw a little box on this one, long only, in real time, that's the way you would have done it, right? You wouldn't be thinking, excuse me, short right there. So I think of it this way. Here's a sort of a good way to think of it. The market, it's like what's that old thing for the kids where the kid dropped the breadcrumbs? You know, trying to figure out how to get back. The market leaves you breadcrumbs. There's little sort of footsteps to see here, right? It's giving you clues. Each time the market goes up and pulls down and goes up and pulls down and does what it's going to do, it's leaving little clues. And what we have to do as traders and sort of trading detectives, if you will, is we're always looking at these swings, right? We're always looking. And so what's physically happening in the market when you see this kind of thing start to happen is that the market participants all over the world who are trading this market, 6J, the algorithms with the banks and all the big boys and all the computer programs are not able to push this market higher. It's a sign of weakening in the market. And when you start to get weakening in the market, what starts to happen? Well, you start to get some kind of downward pressure. In other words, there's not sufficient buying power to push it through the top and continue it higher. So it's going to do what? It's going to come down and start to check lower swings until at some point, and I would submit to you this, that right in here, the market reached some kind of equilibrium, right? When you see sideways yellow bar consolidation at the mid-band, this is representing equilibrium between buyers and sellers. There's pressure for the sellers to take it lower. There's pressures from the buyers to push it higher. And they can't do it. It's stuck in the box. It's going sideways. It's trying to figure out who's going to win, buyers or sellers. In this case here, coming out of this box, who won that battle? Who won this battle right here? This one, this box, this bull-bear battle. Who won it? Did the bulls win it, or did the bears win it coming out of here? Yeah, the bears won. They pushed it lower. The shorties won this battle, and they pushed it lower, and here we are right now, right? Here we are right now. This is real time. We just broke that swing lower. That was trend continuation. Even though it was a 2 or 3 tick break at the bottom, it was a break, yes? Now, okay, in real time, if we were going to trade this market, where might we get in and what type of trade might we take? That's a two-part question, so I'll give you 25 seconds. Let me blow this up a little bit better so you get all sorts of good numbers in here. Let me see if I can blow this up real nice for you. That's a two-part question. If we were going to take a trade on 6J now or at some point in the near future, where might we take it and what type of trade would it be? Long or short? You can type in what type of, if I had object trader up here, would it be a bar rollover? Would you be boxing it somewhere perhaps? Are you looking to buy support down here? What are your options and how would you do it? I'll give you another 20 seconds on the clock to type in your trade call, if you will, for the team. Remember we talked about here, what kind of trend are we in? Some of you typed in chop. So that will determine what type of trade we take, right? And then we have to look at some swings. So we're looking for support and resistance levels to determine where we might want to get in. Time's almost up. I see a lot of retracement calls in here. I see some numbers coming in, 88,250 from Brent, good. Bar close from John. David D, Tom, I see your answer there, retracement. John S, a good answer. Boxing consolidation, time's up. Hey D, I didn't see you come in there. Yeah, D wants to short it at resistance, expecting a short. Good. Roger, great answers, everybody. Yeah, so as we've said many times in other webinars, and this is sort of the toughest part of these retracement trades, is we never know. We don't have a crystal ball. Obviously, we can't predict the future, but we can anticipate that something might happen. So we think about it in this way. We have kind of a sweet spot that we're looking for. Trend is down, so we're looking for a retracement rollover short. Okay, that's the most direct answer. Retracement rollover short. We're looking to sell the market on a pullback. Okay? Now, some of you have typed in that you would sell a rollover at this line right here. Okay? I would say that this is probably the minimal area. I mean, if you did a bar close down here, you're getting short near where the support level is. Let's go back and see if there's other support down here. Well, arguably there's this swing right here. So we're almost right at it. See this other swing right here where it bounced and went all the way up here? So the trade-off really is this when we're looking at retracement trades, and I know everybody knows this, so I'll kind of state the obvious, is that we really need something deeper. Okay, the market's got to come higher than this. I think, you know, there are cases, there's very rare cases, particularly early in the morning. You know, let's say that you've got this huge rally, like we had 3 days of rallies, right, where the equity markets just were up, 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 and there was no stopping them. Okay, right? I mean, they have a little tiny minimal pullback, and then they would just rip roar another 30, 50 ticks. In situations, rare situations like that, and everything is on a tear, there are cases where you could use the bar close feature on a shallow retracement, right, and get in and let the thing rip. All right, but that's exceptions. That's an exceptional case that rarely happens. I mean, maybe it comes along once a month, you know, a couple times a month if you're lucky. It's not a prudent way to trade normally. The more conservative, prudent way to do it is to wait for a deeper retracement where the market comes up into our sweet spot. Our sweet spot is located somewhere between here, which would be the prior resistance level, mid-band. We love the mid-band, of course. We'd love a roll short there with a tight stop. And of course, we know sometimes you get deep retracements. So this could very well come back up all the way into here until it rolls over and does a short. Normally, in a normal retracement, the market's kind of slow here. What I've noticed about 6J is that even though the Asian session technically opens at 5 o'clock Pacific, that's when it opens. That's kind of like, it would be like crude oil's open at 6 a.m., right? It's kind of like the 6:30 open on the equities. This is their opening of trading this particular instrument. But there's lots of other things moving. There's oil and gold and other things moving. But 6J, I noticed it not until after 6 o'clock. After 6 into midnight, if this thing's going to move, it will start moving. you know, unless there's really no news and it just chops around for the rest of the night. But yeah, so you got to look for deeper retracements. You've got to force yourself to try to say, okay, is this thing going to do a little ABC up? And I'm going to be watching this area right in here for a nice rollover after decent retracement, right? And then when it does roll, either use your object trader tools, your box, your bar close, however you want to get in. Of course, when we get the power meter and the ray, you can use those. And then look to get in. Yeah. So just to be clear, what I'm saying is down here at this support level, I would not put a box down here personally, and I would not take a bar close because you're just too close to support. The odds are against you in the fact that you could get a little head fake, right? I mean, the thing might tank. We don't know what it's going to do, but it's possible you could get a little head fake down. You get sucked into a short with a loose stop way up here, and it could come all the way back up into here where your stop is, stop you out where you should be looking to get short. And so this is what we're trying to eliminate if you've been facing that. I know some of you are. You don't have to say who you are, but I know that some of you are faced with this situation where you're getting in right where you think it's going to break up or down, right? You're getting in right there. You know, you're buying or selling the thrust part of the move, and then the retracement goes up and hits your stops. You get taken out up here, right where you should be actually getting in. Okay? Right? Okay, so we're all breaking that habit. Now I want to show you something here. There's been a lot of questions about rollovers. I see a ton of questions about 6E and 6J and crude oil and all manner of things like that. So I'm just going to quickly pause from the trading thing setup deal and quickly pop over here, and I'm going to show everybody, and I want you to bookmark this and just quickly remember how to do this. Okay, so here we want to bookmark cmegroup.com. This is the go-to site for the futures. Everybody knows that. cmegroup, one word.com. You scroll down here to the middle of the page. Okay? The front month will always be shown here, and you mouse over it. So what's the front month on crude? March. Right. Here's nat gas. March. Here is the futures for the currencies. Here's the Aussie, Canadian, you see them all. Okay, there's the Euro. They're all March, right? Here's the equities over here. I'm not going to go through all of them. You see them all, right? Now, how do we know when a market is going to roll? Anybody know? Well, there's been some questions about the currencies. When do they roll? Let's take 6E. We click on the market. It takes us to the 6E page. Now we can see the March volume is huge compared to the other contracts because it is the front month. Now we're wondering, when is this thing going to roll? So here's what you want to do. You go up here to, where is it here? Calendar. See this? Calendar? See the link? Okay, click on calendar. All right. When is the last trade on the March contract? Everybody see that date? Last delivery is when? 15th. So let me ask you a question. Should you be trading this contract after March 13th, whichever is the earlier of these two dates? Should you be trading March contract on 6E after March 13th? You think that'd be a good idea? No. You're going to get a pretty big slap on the wrist from your broker pals. They're going to be getting a hold of you. And it probably would reject your trade. You don't want to do that. So here's the way it normally works, all right, just to give you a heads up. You take the earlier of these two dates, the last delivery or the last trade, and you fade it by a week. Normally it's a week. Sometimes it's 5 days, but roughly a week. So when, if we were to guesstimate, would we be rolling the 6E contract from March to June? If we were to guesstimate the roll date, when might that be? Anybody? What do we say when we're going to estimate? We're within a week of that date. That's the earlier, the 15th and the 13th is the 13th, right? That's the earlier of the two. And we fade that by a week. So about the 6th, right? About March 6th, plus or minus a day or two. And you'll get a note from your broker. There'll be notes, and we'll talk about it in the room. Everybody will know when it comes time to roll it. In or around March 6th, right? So we're at February 16th. So how much longer can we trade 6E on the March contract, approximately? Yeah, about another 3 weeks. Same with the equities. We'll do this real quick, and then we'll get back to the trades. Let's go look at an equity contract. What do you want to look at? You want to look at YM? Let's look at YM. Here's Weimer. March is all the volume. A couple little contracts on June. Go up to the calendar. Most of these, the equities and the currencies that all have like the March, June, September, December contracts, normally it's going to be somewhere between the second and third week of the expiration month. You're going to fade that by a week, okay? Just as a rule of thumb in your head, if you're sort of saying to yourself, when that March contract, I mean, you can come here and look at it, of course, right? So when do we take delivery on the last trade of March for YM? 17th. So when would be rolling YM from March to June? Yeah, around March 10th, probably, somewhere in that neighborhood. The currencies and the equities kind of roll usually about the same time, within a couple days, within usually a day or two of each other. All the currencies and all the equities roll from March to June, June to September, etc. Okay? But if you're ever wondering and you want to know sort of ahead of time what those dates are going to be, all right, we'll do one more for you crude oil traders. Here's crude. Click on the crude. Go up to the calendar, right? When's the last trade on crude here? And what if you're going to fade that a week, what is that? That's another way to do it, D. Peter says, I look at the volume, and when it's higher on the new contract, I roll it. Okay, well, that's another way to do it. Yeah, I'm just showing the way that most people do it. Yeah, so the last date's February 21st, and we fade that by a week, roughly. So that's February 14th, Valentine's Day, and today is the 16th. So should we be rolling crude? I think Gary's already done it in the room. And look at the volume. Peter just pointed out the volume, which is a good point. Which has the higher volume? April. All right, so we got to remember tonight, and D has a good point too, and I'll go ahead and bring this up so everybody can see it. Everybody has seen this, right? This is the instrument manager. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. I'll actually do this right now, okay? What's the front month I have over here in my default list? What do we got to do? Everybody should do this tonight. You can do it right now if you wanted to. Make sure you do it tonight so you're not trading this tomorrow. Make sure you, what does this say down here when you click on the crude oil? Yeah, it already sets it to April. So we take it over, right? And then you can take the other one off. There's the April. Here's the March. We'll just take it right off. Boom, done. Just like that. And then adjust your charts. Adjust your charts, whatever you have running. If you have, some scripts running or something, strategies. You got to adjust everything. Take that old contract off there, so you're not confused and trade the old contract. So done. D pointed out that you can look at the instruments table and it shows the front month. That is true. Most of the time, I'd say probably 95 to 98, 99% of the time, it will actually show you this contract when you're ready to roll. It'll show you the front month. But I have to tell you, like on some of the commodities and some of the other instruments, I have seen the case occasionally, but very rarely, where this will not reflect the front month. So you got to know what it is. You can't just blindly come in here and click on it and say, oh, it's April. Okay, let's bring that over. We should all know ahead of time. Do your research. It's part of being a good futures trader. Any questions on that? I know there was a lot of questions on rolling and what to roll and when to roll. So roll your June, roll your April. Okay, so here we go. Let's go back to 6J. Now we're coming up here. what do we want to do? You know, let's not spend all night on 6J. Let's do this. I'm going to run out of time here in a few minutes. Let me do this. Let's just see where 6J goes to, but let's pull some other charts down here real quick. Give me a second. I want to get gold on here. I want to get crude. I want to look at a few other ones before I run out of time. Let's just do this. Put this off to the side. We'll just sort of keep an eye on it. All right, let me get the gold down here. Let's take a peek at gold. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Excuse me, this is gold right now. Right-hand chart. Quick vote, because we're going to run out of time here soon, so I got to speed this up. Trending or chop? Let me open up a little bit more. I'll give you some more chart to look at. Trending or chop on gold right now? We are right now at 1753. This is a bar forming here in real time on gold. We're on the April contract on gold. Trending T, chop C. Here was the pre-market session. Here's 6 a.m. Here's 6:30. So this is the entire day you're looking at from like 4 o'clock in the morning over here. Is gold trending or chop? What do you think? What are you going to do with gold? Here, I gave you all the way through midnight of last night. So this is midnight of last night on gold. Trending or chop? You got to cast your vote. Less than 10 seconds left. We're going to go through a lot of these charts before we wrap. So we're going to step up our pace a little bit. Here, let me help you out. What do you think? That's about as sideways. It spent the whole day in that range. Right? It was the whole day in that range. Since midnight. Since 2 in the morning, last night, it's been in that same range right there. I mean, with the exception of this little sort of blip head fake up thing here, which, you know, you might have gotten long off of that up there and you got to poke up, but then it came and stopped you out. So this was the exception. Okay, there was an exception here around 8 o'clock in the morning. Gold poked its head through the top of the range. But ever since then, you've got support down here and resistance up here. You are range bound, right? Range bound. Yeah. Should you take a trade here, or what are you going to do? Where's the next trade set up? Well, I mean, it might take the rest of the evening to do it, but I mean, it's possible that gold could come up here and roll over one more time. You could get a short top of the range, perhaps. If you took that, I'd keep a tight stop in case it hit the mid-band and started to do this program again, right? So you'd be short in the top of resistance. Or she could come down, gold, you know, in the next 4 hours or whatever, down into here and get some support and bounce if it's going to respect the range. So, you know, this is a tradable range. You've got 50 ticks. This is a 50 ticks range, and right here I'm guessing you're kind of right in the middle of it, or maybe the lower 2/3 of it. So I don't know. Obviously, the obvious answer is we would not take anything right here. Everybody sees that, right? You would never take a trade in the middle of a range because you have a 50-50 shot of it going up or down. You're tossing a coin, and we don't like those odds, right? All right, so that's gold. Let's get crude up here. ZB, give me a second. Let me try to get a crude chart. Okay, it's loading. Yeah, this is the definition of chop. I mean, it was even worse over here last night. You know, spent, I don't know, looks like 4 hours in this range right here. How many of you like to trade ranges? How many of you like to not trade ranges? You just type in a yes or a no, Y or an N. Yes, you like to trade ranges? No, you don't like to trade ranges. Just a simple yes or no. How many of you like to trade ranges? You like them. So yes, yes. Give me ranges. I'll chomp them up all day long. Yum, 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 yum. Give me a range. I love it. Or no, get me the heck out of here. I don't want to trade that thing. Take a quick poll of the team here. Which we got range traders, yes or no? David T says Diane's a big range trader. You want to look at 6B, Carl? Okay. Ooh, a bunch of no's. I don't see any yeses. Any range traders here? Anybody like to trade the range? Any range, small, large? Wow, I don't see any yeses. That's incredible. Guess we all hate ranges. I know. Yeah, you're always looking for a trend, right? Tell you what, no, thank you. We got one John S. Yes, I like ranges. Carl, hold on. I already teed up a crude chart. Let me bring that down, then we'll bring up 6B. All right, so here's crude right now. Had this funky little blip down, didn't it? I mean, here you kind of were, you know, this is the day right here. Oh, we took this short. Remember? Yeah. We took this short. Gary and I, we all remember in the room? Yeah, it was heading up. It was heading up. It was chopping. Remember, it was chopping. I don't know for no, I didn't get this long. There was a long trade here. So you were range bound. Background was green, and you were trying to head up. 6:30 was 6 market open. The market was here. Maybe you guys caught the long in the room. Anybody catch a long here with Gary? I don't know. This is before my time. This looks like it was going into 6 o'clock. And then we formed this mid-band deal right here. Now, I didn't catch this. I think Gary boxed it in here and caught the whole short. I can't remember. If you did and let it trade both sides, you would have been filled on this candle right here. So it was not a good fill. Short. And you never got filled long because it never broke the top. But as I recall, going back, I didn't get in until it did this little blip up, and I got in here. So I missed the first third of this move down. Here was the thrust. And this looks like it happened fast. This actually took a little long. It actually sat here for a little while, and I got in on bar closed down in here, and I caught the tail end of this. Yeah, we said to box it. Yeah, we said to box it. Now, what was strange was that you can see here you got a couple follow-on trades. It kind of chopped around down here a little bit. It went sideways after putting a little double bottom at this 53.10, right? I think we stopped out of the trade when it came through here, as I recall. You know, and then you got up, you came up, and you got a couple little rolls off the mid-band. You had little scalpy follows through here. And then by 9 o'clock, we closed the room right here at 8. So this was the tail end of the room. And then you could have reboxed it here around 9 o'clock if you were still trading. And if you let it trade either way, yeah, you got a heck of a long trade here. I was done and gone by this point. And pretty much since then, since 9 o'clock in the morning, you've been kind of drifting sideways on crude, right? I mean, you had a little bounce here. You had a little long trade here off the mid-band bounce. And it's really gone nowhere for the past like 4 hours. I mean, crude's asleep right now. Yeah, it's too slow to watch those when it slows down like that. It's just, you know, it's mind-numbingly choppy sideways, sleepy town. Let's go ahead and pull up 6B. We had a request from... I think it was Peter asked to look at 6B. Let's pull up 6B real quick here. All right, here you go. What do we think? Oh, excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. What do we think of 6B here? Let's do a quick assessment here. Well, looking back on this chart, I think we all can see pretty clearly that we had 6B had a little up move here, and you had a couple little pullbacks you could have gotten in. So you had a couple scalpers here on the move up. You know, and then the bulk of the day, really, you know, going into the early part of the U.S. Open, it was in a pretty good range right there, which eventually, of course, it broke down and found support. I mean, you could make the case that about I don't know, maybe a half an hour ago, you had a mid-band bounce trade right in here. You know, if you put a line or array or a box on it, or even bar close up, you could arguably be long already. I would not take anything up here, obviously. This is the thrusting part of the move. 6B chart. Okay, I'm moving my cursor around on 6B. 6B chart right here. Cursor moving around. Everybody see it? Anybody not see 6B moving right here? You see it now? 6B? Okay. Okay, let me step back then. Okay, so this is what I was saying. Back over here. Now this was actually, let's go back and so everybody get everybody's work set here. Okay, here was midnight Pacific yesterday. So you were in arguably a little bit of kind of an uptrending move here. This is going into the early hours of the European session last night. Or no, from today, right? And then here is from about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning until about 7, 8 o'clock. You know, you're essentially in this box. Around 8:30 Pacific, it broke down and took out support, and you had a little short trade set up here. We did a little wig-de-do, and then we came up, and about noon, you hit this swing high. And it looks to me like about 4:30, you got a mid-band bounce here. So you could arguably already be long from a mid-band bounce, and we're in the thrust part of the move, and it's asleep. It might sit here for another, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours until the European session starts. So if you're gonna trade this tonight, first of all, if you trade currencies overnight, what do we need to do? If anybody is going to be trading currencies in the Asian late night session, early morning U.S. time, European session, what would it be important to know? What would be important to know? Check the spreads. What else? If you're going to trade the currencies in the Asian and European sessions, what might we need to know? What would be important to know if you're going to do that? Good. Check the volume. That's important. The spreads are good. Yeah, you got to take a look at that. How about, and some of you have already typed it in, margin. I think it's pretty much day trade margin if you're with Ninja or AMP. Yeah, it should all be day trade margins. How about this? Some of you typed it in. Roger got it. Brent got it. Quite a few of you got it. Forex news. Right. So let's take a peek here. Would we want to know some of this if we're going to trade? What might we want to know? Let's see, what's today? Today is Thursday going into Friday. British pound has a retail sales number at 130. If you're trading 6B, might you want to know that? Yeah, of course. So just a heads up here. And here's how you do it. You go up here. If whatever currency you're going to be trading, you click on this little thing that looks like a funnel, and then tick off the ones that you're going to trade. So I have euro, British pound, and the dollar. If you're going to trade 6J, you're going to want to know some yen news, right? Aussie, 6A, Canadian, 6C. Let's get them all up there. All right, now let's come down. Okay. Current account on the euro, medium impact. British pound, if you're trading that in the European session, yeah, you're going to want to know at 1:30 a.m. Pacific. Convert that to your local time, that you might get some 6B movement in here, right? You might want to be out of that trade before this comes out, and then look for movement in 6B after it comes out. Medium news early in the morning on 6C if you're trading it, and then dollar minor impact 7 a.m. So yeah, just always have this tucked in the corner. I have CME Group and Forex Factory and Yahoo Finance, all are bookmarked. So I look at those all the time while I'm trading, right? Okay, good. I went a little bit over here. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I apologize. I didn't quite cover as much as I wanted to, but we got through a lot of good stuff here. Stop the recording.